That's actually a very good question. Thank you. For us, of course, there's not one route or one direction that we will be taking. When we set out the strategy for 2020, if I look at it from a global perspective, it's very important for us to identify which markets are important to us and also what demographics or travel groups that we should be focusing on, because each one of them has to have an individual message that's personalized to them. And of course, then we look at the from a Chinese perspective. We know that the travel patterns for example, families is very different than couples, and also very different from individual travelers or business travelers. So we need to identify what are the key things about Dubai's offering, Dubai's proposition, knowing which channels to use to convey what message at what time. And then also, of course, the things that we're here to do in China today is a prime example of how we're developing and evolving the market. So leveraging relationships that we're building with the trade, such as I mentioned some of them like Huawei, Tencent, Alibaba, and many others, even on the travel trade side, and also working with the bilateral relationship between the two countries to enhance more capacity, more Chinese local carriers to bring more Chinese travelers to Dubai. All of these things are different things that we're going to work on towards achieving our targets in the strategy.
So Dubai does have a lot to offer, but in terms of the Chinese travelers, have you done any studies to find out what draws them to Dubai in the first place, and what are their favorite activities, and were you planning to do something to enhance or to cater to their needs in future? Thanks.
Of course, the answer is definitely we are, and I think there's one thing about understanding what the Chinese traveler wants, and what we do is we initially conducted surveys across all the Chinese travelers who have been coming to Dubai frequently, and understanding what is the key foundation level things that we need to put into place to help them enjoy Dubai much more. Then it's about finding the right time of the year, right channels to send that message out to them. But what's also very important for us is for Dubai to become even more China ready in welcoming them. So we've had, as I mentioned, a small example of 266 Mandarin-speaking tour guides that will be available. That will be extremely important for those who are traveling, let's say, in bigger groups, but also for the individual travelers using platforms such as what Huawei has to offer, Tencent has to offer, and making sure that you have Mandarin tour guides within their device to be able to find locations and explore the city on their own. Because some people want to do that an actual tour guide, so things like that as well. Then we look at enhancing also the messaging of the proposition through identifying what people enjoy, what do they want to see more of, and getting that message out. A lot of times the case is not about the offering not being there, but it's about highlighting that offering that actually does exist. For example, on that front is budget travel. Some people that come in bigger groups or with family members, they don't want to necessarily stay in a 5-star hotel. They want to stay in a 3 or 4-star hotel. And they expect, or their perception is that Dubai doesn't have that offering. So making sure that people realize that there's a lot of high quality, affordable accommodation in Dubai, so that people can actually come in and enjoy spending longer periods of time in Dubai and enjoy what the city offers in a much better way.
But for those who have traveled to Dubai,
yes,
have you studied their behaviors?
Yes, we have, of course. What we do is also, just to give an example of what we do, we work with a lot of our key partners, and we have regular sessions with them. So we can see where the Chinese travelers are frequently visiting, and what is their feedback on that as well. And we also conduct surveys on different touch points within those experiences, and we also conduct surveys at the departure lounges when people are just about to leave Dubai, and understand where did they go, what did they see, what they liked, what didn't they like, what do they want to see enhanced or made better as well. Because for us, that then is important to feed back to our partners to know how we can continuously evolve that proposition. If you look at the strategy, we talk about growing the number of visitors, but we also talk about growing the number of days that people stay in Dubai, because that's important. So the more the Chinese travelers know what Dubai has to offer, the longer they can plan their holiday for. And the third very important thing for us is repeat visitation. So getting a lot more repeat to Dubai from China becomes important, which means we're doing our job right. Means that the the people have started to understand Dubai's proposition is evolving, and it actually does relate to them as well.
Hopefully, you can share some of the results of your researches later.
Yes, of course, we'd love to.
Thank you.
You just mentioned in the slide, Dubai tourism will take some new actions to improve the mobile payment environment this year. Can I ask what the mobile payment coverage rate in Dubai right now?
I can give you high-level information from my knowledge. But what we've done is over the past couple of years, of course, we've worked very closely with our friends at UnionPay to make sure that their product is well received across touchpoints within Dubai, and facilitated dialogue between them and the central bank in Dubai to enhance that. And also we made sure that retailers and other partners that we work with on a regular basis have continuous dialogue between other payment methods, whether it's Alipay or WeChat Pay and others. And I know that there's a lot of those discussions currently taking place. From our side, we are always here, we're always making sure that we're connecting these partners and relationships we're building on the ground in China with the right partners on the ground when it comes to the several touch points, and also making sure that we facilitate the dialogue, whether it's between the banks, the network opportunities, or with the central bank operations as well.
Okay. How much it will increase by this end of this year? At the end of this year,
What will increase?
the number of the increase.
I can make some 我补充一下，就是我们现在的话，在迪拜的话，支付的终端的话，100%都是可以支付银联的。然后我们的这个支付宝是新进入了我们的迪拜贸，然后这个支付宝的覆盖率和增长现在也是非常的迅速。那我们在不久的将来，应该在今年吧，我们会覆盖更多的迪拜的这个支付的这个商店店铺和我们的这个微信支付。对。
Okay, thank you.
你好，我想问一下，就是前往迪拜的中国游客当中，初次和2次以上到访的游客的比例大概是多少？然后因为不少游客已经去过迪拜了，我们想问一下，就是您认为迪拜如何吸引中国的游客再次前往？
这个初次和2次的这个数字，我回头可以补充给您。I say that a lot of people, Chinese people already visited Dubai and then they revisited. What do you think is the factors that attract the Chinese visitors come back again?
I think I'm going to generalize this answer. A lot of people, when they come to Dubai, they usually have, when they travel in general, they usually have a list of things that it's in their mind that they think, okay, I'm going to do these things. When I'm there, I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to go experience this ride, I want to go to this restaurant, and they go about that. But once they visit the city, it starts opening so many doors for them. And this is not unique just to the Chinese travelers, but we've seen the trend a lot. Because a lot of people come to Dubai thinking they know everything they need to know about the destination. But once they're there, and they think, I plan for X number of days, and I wanted to do these things, but there's so much more to see and explore that I hadn't had an idea about. So they plan to come back again to at least go to those places as well. And that is the idea, and that is the thing that we're trying to do. Because the better we get at, to your point, getting the message out there, understanding the target audience as well, making sure that we're delivering the message precisely, people then understand that Dubai is not a 3-4 day destination. You need to meet maybe 10 days to really explore, or at least come back again and again to discover the different destinations within the city to really enjoy what Dubai has to offer.
刚才提到就是这次来中国的这个推广，很多新的这个一些合作，比如说马蜂窝、穷游、飞猪、大众点评支付、百度旅游，甚至的华为预账这个图片，这个我就想问一个问题呢，就是说，跟我们一些传统的 OTA， 比如说携程、途牛、同城这方面好像没看到这个有新的的。这我们想了解这是怎么考虑的？谢谢。
这部分合作我们也有。
是有介绍一下。
say that we have a lot of cooperation with very strong and new platform. It's not the traditional platform like Huawei or Tencent. So how about the cooperation with traditional OTA, especially like Trip?
Yeah, I think absolutely right. We're talking a lot about the new ways of communicating to the travelers, but we definitely have not forgotten the traditional ways of doing business as well. Again, because in China's context, China is a very big market with a huge potential for Dubai. The reason why we're highlighting in this presentation a lot of the new relationships, because it's about taking what we've been doing in the past and building on that as well. Having said that, that doesn't mean that we're neglecting the traditional. We still have a lot of strong relationships, a lot of amazing deals that we work closely with the traditional means of travel agencies and travel patterns and OTAs and others, because we know that there's a big portion of the market that still rely on them. So we work very closely with the trade on the ground to make sure that we have the right products, the right packages delivered at the right time to the right audiences through them as well.
而且我补充一点，我们跟携程和途牛的是在有长期的一个合作的。我们今年的这个合作主题是让好事发生。我们在后续的第2季度、第3季度还会推出新的合作。
好，想问一下，跟华为的合作是如何创意和达成的？那么说，除了华为手机以外，有没有跟全球其他品牌的手机也有类似的合作？谢谢。
How we select Huawei as our partner, and besides Huawei brand, we have some cooperating like
We, of course, for us, the key thing is to work with all of the strong partners within the market. With Huawei, with Tencent, with Alibaba, with all of them, the idea is not to just limit it to them, of course. We work with anybody who's got the appetite, who's got the right product, and has got the right audiences. Because for us, again, it's about making sure that our product and our messages is as wide, as enhanced as possible, and that we don't leave any potential target, anybody who potentially is interested in Dubai, that. Hence why I said whether it's traditional media and traditional platforms or much more of the new age and global ones, we're working across the board. And what I say in any of these meetings is watch this space, because there's always something new that will be announced, and there's always something exciting that we're working on with all the partners. Before we go, I think the lady's been these all the questions.
就是迪拜和阿布扎比是阿联酋最著名的2座旅游城市，就是二者在旅游方面，旅游体验方面有什么不同？
First of all, I'm glad that you mentioned Dubai and Abu Dhabi as two of UAE's great offerings, because a lot of times I go to places where they still ask about the competition between Dubai and Abu Dhabi when we tell them it's one country. But I think what's great about both cities is that each one of the 7 Emirates actually have unique propositions that they can offer. And that has actually been quite useful for us. And at the same time, and more importantly, it's been hugely important for the traveling guests, because for them, when they come to a destination, especially one that is so well connected with amazing road transportation and so swift and easy to go from one to the other, you want them to be able to get the maximum out of that one trip. So if you look at the kind of things that Dubai is offering, there's always this unique proposition that each destination has to offer. But let's go to the ones that are in the same space. So if you look at theme parks, the kind of IPs and the products that we're looking at and the kind of IPs and products that Abu Dhabi is looking at is quite different as well. And if you look at a bigger destination offering, then you can understand that a family traveling with kids who would love to go to theme parks, that in itself becomes a 1 week or 10-day destination where they can go to all of these different theme parks across both cities and really enjoy what the destination has to offer. So what I'm trying to say is, if you look at it from that perspective, for a traveling guest, the destination together and the connectivity makes it a much bigger experience.
I've been to Dubai, and actually it was my first overseas tourism destination, so I have a lot of questions for you. First, you just laid out a grand vision for 2020 for about attracting tourists about 20 million or globally. So I wonder what will be the specific vision for Chinese tourists? How many do you expect in the year of 2020? And also you just mentioned that we attracted about 760 that much of tourists to Dubai last year, and I wonder about the growth rate, whether it is one of the fastest growing SaaS marketing globally, and what kind of average growth rate do you expect in the next 3 years? And my second question is, I noticed that you just established a partnership with the future with Flying Pig from Alibaba, and it seems that the program is targeting individual tourists. So I wonder whether that's because you've seen a trend among Chinese tourists that there's emerging market for individual tourists, and I wonder what about the mix between group and individual Chinese tourists. Okay, thank you.
For the percentage wise, I would leave the team to answer the exact precise facts, and we have those numbers. But you've highlighted a lot of key points there for us. Of course, when we laid out the strategy, it was based on the numbers of 2012. In 2012, we had 10 million international visitors, and when we announced the strategy in 2013, we said we want to double that number and reach 20 million by 2020. So even that target in itself was quite ambitious, because we had less than 7 years to double that number, which meant that we had to look at markets that were beyond the 6 or 7 key traditionally strong markets for us, of course, because we wanted to expand the growth. China at that point in time was just barely within the top 20 markets for us. Last year within our campaigns, we hit about 42 different markets. This year we're going to about hopefully 50 different markets globally. And within that time, of course, we focused a lot on China, because we knew all the studies and research that we had done that the outbound travel in China is going to grow and continuously grow. So we needed to also leverage a lot of the stakeholders on ground, so things like hotels, of course airlines, airports, because we have open skies policies, and also leverage the bilateral relationship that is becoming stronger and stronger between the UAE and China as well. With that in mind, we've seen that steady growth, and to your point, yes, China is amongst the fastest growing markets for us. It's one of the fastest. Yeah, one of the fastest growing markets. I think it was the fastest and second fastest within those brackets at different times of the year. So of course that shows huge importance. If you ask me what the potential for growth is, I'll tell you it's still much bigger than that. But we need to also bear in mind that we need to work with the capacities that are on hand and continuously convince a lot of the, for example, local carriers to bring more seats into Dubai. And also, of course, if you're going to ask me to stretch the targets, I'll be very happy to, because my team will be responsible for delivering those numbers as part of their KPIs. And I guess from a target perspective, it'll be safe to say that as ambitious as we are, we would want to see, for example, 1 million Chinese travelers between now and 2020, and then hopefully still continue to grow from there as well.
My next question is about the individual and group.
Individual and group. Again, I'll give you the high-level one, and then I'll leave the team to give you the specifics. We have seen a trend of, first of all, repeat visitation growing in Dubai, which is quite significant. We've also seen a trend since the visa-free arrival into Dubai, that there's a lot of individual independent travelers who are coming into the city as well. So there will be communication that's directed at independent travelers, but at the same time, going to the gentleman's point, we will not ignore the group travelers either, because each one of them have a different way of traveling, each one of them have different needs when they travel. But both of them are segments that are extremely important to us, and we want to make sure that we're highlighting and leveraging those opportunities with those markets as well.
Khaja, I look after China market with Assam from Dubai. Just to answer your question for the FIT and support what Assam said, yes, we do notice there's a big trend outbound coming out of China for independent travelers. before we had visa-free, Dubai used to see more group travelers, less individual, because obviously they had to go through certain channels to get the visa. But since we opened the visa-free, we're happy to say we're matching the trend. We're growing more and more on the free independent travelers, but we still also have the group travelers, which we also welcome. That's why, as Assam has said before, we're working on both ends. Additional trade, focusing on the groups, making them more comfortable, seeing bigger and better itineraries. But also we want to make sure that any individual traveler who picks up the phone, wants to book, wants to fly directly, no visa, they also have all the right platforms to be able to come. So hopefully we're growing that market even more. Did you come as individual or group?
In group tour.
Okay. Thank you.
你好，可能说起迪拜，对我的印象可能就是说高端游、奢侈游。就想问一下，就是这几年去中国去迪拜的游客的客源构成中是年轻的普通的一些游客多，还是说40岁左右的一些成功的人士多？然后第二个问题是说，我看迪拜刚才的一些先生介绍，就是说要想吸引更多的年轻的游客去，我想说除了一些免费的签证，还有一些主题宣传之外，有没有其他的更优惠的措施，然后再做吸引一些学生群体啊，或者说普通的上班族啊这样的？谢谢。
The interesting thing here is that it's not a perception or the stereotype that's only applicable to the Chinese travelers. Of course, for us, this is something that Dubai's reputation initially was built on products like Burj Al Arab or built on things like Burj Khalifa and so on. So people automatically assume that it's very expensive and it's only catering to certain segments. But of course, with the strategy of getting 20 million visitors by 2020 and increasing the number of travelers from different destinations, we know that there are different needs that need to be addressed. So one of the first things we wanted to do was address the perception issue, make sure that we have the right messages going out about the product of Dubai, make sure that Dubai as a city is investing in creating a lot more experiences that is affordable. So things like the 3 and 4 star sector. So there was a move from Dubai Tourism, along with all the key stakeholders, to encourage investments to have a lot more 3 and 4 star hotel offerings in Dubai and create these beach properties. So when people can stay other places in the city, they can still enjoy beach and the beach features and the beach activities and the restaurants and everything that Dubai has to offer on a much more affordable travel pattern. When we talk about family travel as well, we know that there will be bigger groups traveling together, so they will be expected to spend in a lot more things, so the affordability becomes hugely important. So we've also worked with the partners to make sure that that offering of all the different segments of income levels are also looked after and the experiences are enhanced on those touch points as well.
Hello, I'm a reporter from Cherokee, China. I have a question that I understand that the Dubai tourism is actually exploring the opportunity to apply the blockchain technology on tourism. So could you please maybe further elaborate on that, and how do you see it can contribute to the B2B business for tourism? Thank you.
I think that's a very, very good question, and I would love to say that I'm very well versed in the blockchain aspect of it. But yes, we are. I think one of the key things that Dubai has done over the past just slightly less than a year is to make sure that we are future ready. So there's a lot of things that Dubai does on a level where you have to see Dubai more of a as a business unit. When we work together entirely, government and with the private and public sector, hand in hand, to make sure that we're delivering our messages and making sure that Dubai's product together is being enhanced. for the better benefit of the people who live there, the people who work there, the people who invest there, and the people who visit the destination as well. So to keep that momentum going, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed announced the 10x initiative in Dubai. And that means that we want to be not just future ready, but we want to be 10 years ahead of any future initiatives that we're doing. And that also went down into explaining exactly which segments of the industry should be focused on that. And one of those segments and industries was tourism. So we have an agenda to have a 10x initiative that's focused on developing this and delivering this to the future, which means not only us enhancing our product and offering, but also making sure that we're working with the right partners across the world who are also innovators, who invest a lot into R&D to make sure that there's always the product enhancement and experience enhancement and overall service enhancement that takes place within the city and the offering itself as well. So blockchain is one of the key segments that we're working on, because we know the trend is going towards using the technology in enhancing, again, the products and also the sharing of the products and the knowledge across the different markets and segments. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be the right person to get into the details of blockchain in specific, but I'll be more than happy to share the information through my team with you, because we have a unit within Dubai Tourism that focuses on the future initiatives, and blockchain being the key thing that they're working on as well. Thank you.
问了一个很前沿的问题。那还有其他问题老师有？
想请您针对家庭度假的游客给出一个您认为最经典的一个行程的建议，具体一点。
It's like for family tourists, what's your recommendation for their like visit places in Dubai or itinerary?
Sure. I think for the family tourists, the way that I look at it personally is, when we plan any programs, I like to look at it as, how can I make sure that the mother, the father, son, daughter, whoever, there is a reason for each one of them to come to the destination. And I really think Dubai has that kind of an offering. So when you look at the different trends, the reason why we do that, of course, is because we don't want any one of them saying, no, I don't want to go. So we want to convince all of them that this is the destination for them. So if you look at, for example, even the mall, so if somebody comes for shopping in one of the Dubai malls, you will see that the restaurant offerings is actually amazing. We want to make sure that the quality of the offerings and options there are great. We talk about the retail experiences, making sure that you have some of the souk elements, for example, even in the newer malls, added to it for the gold jewelry and that kind of things, as well as the big brands and high street brands that exist. But then we also add the adventure side of things to it as well. So in one mall you can go ski down a snow slope, or you can go dive with sharks. So there's so many different things that people can do in that one experience. So when you come to a family destination, shopping in its sense is something that I think families should definitely explore. And I would definitely encourage them to also go to the older parts of town, the older souks, when they have those, because it gives them a feeling of what it was like back in the days, in that time of the era as well. Also exploring the older parts of the city, to go out and enjoy the museums that they have to offer, as well as the galleries that there are, because it's something for the entire family to enjoy together. Then you look at the theme parks. The theme parks itself is something that we focus on with the partners to make sure that it caters to all age groups. So whether it's Legoland for the much younger kids, or you go to Motion Gate and Hunger Games when you go towards the older, to the young teenager and above, and then also rides for parents to enjoy as well. If you go to the Bollywood parks, there's shows, stage shows and stuff, that live acts that take place. So there's a lot that can happen. And I truly believe for the visitors who are really coming for a family break, even the theme parks themselves is not a quick half-day destination. It takes 2 days at least to really enjoy the experiences of that theme park alone. Then you look at the newer additions that are coming into Dubai as well, the gastronomic experiences and the beach activities, as well as retail on La Mer. So someone can have a full day of enjoying breakfast, beach activities, as well as relaxing by the beach, and then also enjoying retail experiences within that city as well. So there's so many different things that one can do. And if you look at the itinerary